Okay, guys, the jig is up. I've been playing along for the past year and a half, but I think the joke of Tyler graduating early and this being his last show is getting pretty old now. I get that we wanted to end the semester really dramatically, but pranking everyone for that long seems like a little much. Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
Oh, Siobhan. I mean, how could I miss a tease for such a good episode coming up this week with everything that's happened on campus? Especially when we look at the new sign outside of LaSalle. We talk at Tom Gola Arena went viral for their electric pregame spectacles. And we'll be previewing women's basketball going to Queens to take on St. Joe's, which you know what that means. Bing bong. My name is Tyler Small, and you're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. Our Explorers teams were thoughtful enough to let us end our semester on a high note. We'll tell you how in this week's recaps.
And later, she can play golf. She can co-host SportsLine. And now, she does an interview too. Livy Jillian took the chance to sit down with red-hot Kayla Sproul in this week's interview.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1, LaSalle women's basketball alumni Cheryl Reeve was named as the U.S. women's basketball national team head coach on Wednesday. Reeve has 28 years of collegiate and professional coaching experience, with some highlights including serving as an assistant coach for the 2019-20 national team and helping Team USA achieve gold in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics with a perfect 6-0 record. Reeve played for the Explorers from 1984 to 1988, where she saw 2 NCAA tournament appearances and put her name in LaSalle Athletics history books for games started and assists.
Number 2, former college sports analyst Tyler Small has been named LaSalle's new head coach for men's basketball, leaving his show SportsLine to take on the position. Despite being only 21 years old and never having played collegiate basketball, Small was quoted as saying, "I am better than John Wooden. LaSalle men's basketball will win 100 NCAA titles now that I'm the coach. We will go every season undefeated. Whenever we play a Big Five rival, I will ensure that their players and fans cry because of how badly LaSalle beat them. They will rename the Palestra as the Tyler Small Arena. I will also reopen Treetops. You're welcome, Explorers."
I'm most excited about Treetops.
Yeah.
And number 3, helping the LaSalle women's basketball team to an undefeated week, Kayla Sproul has been selected as the NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week. The senior forward dropped 17-9 over Penn during the week, and then scored 18 points and picked up 4 steals over the weekend against St. Francis to earn the award. This week's performance continues the stellar start to the year for Sproul, averaging 15.4 points per game and 9.8 rebounds per night.
I know I wrote the whole thing about you being the new coach. I couldn't get through that without laughing.
2 truths and a lie, right?
Yeah, but it's the most amazing thing is to see Cheryl Reeve get named the head coach of the U.S. women's national basketball team. That's such an amazing accomplishment for the national team as a whole, and then to know that she's had so much great experience, especially in her playing time at LaSalle. So it's just amazing to see a LaSalle alumni get that nod for such a big position.
I mean, and it just adds to the illustrious history that LaSalle basketball program is, and especially one of the underappreciated parts of it. I mean, we talk about Tom Gola to nauseum, same thing with Lionel Simmons and some of the great men's players that we've seen throughout this program, but Cheryl Reeve's right up there with not only in the women's aspect, but just overall all athletes that have ever played at this historic school. And just adding that to her resume has been incredible for the pride of us Explorers.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about even more great women's basketball players, Kayla Sproul has just continued her hot season. This week, the women's basketball team has gone undefeated, and that's largely in part to her. She's been the top scorer in multiple games. She's gotten incredible points, rebounds, numbers. You know, whenever we talk about a women's basketball game, we see Kayla Sproul up there. Like, she's putting in shift after shift and great performance after great performance. The consistency and the fact that she's been able to do this well for the entirety of the season so far is just incredible.
16.2 points per game. She's shooting above 45% in both three-point and just overall field goal. She has the 3rd highest point per game in the entire Atlantic 10. She has been stellar, everything that we've expected for her and more. She's just having one heck of a senior year.
And it's amazing to see because this women's basketball team has really come together as a team, but the individual performances, along with Kayla Sproul, Molly Massantonio, the Jacobs sisters, there are so many we could talk about, but it's great to see Kayla Sproul especially having such an amazing season. And that's it for top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. It's been a good week to be a LaSalle men's basketball player. The Explorers were looking to get back to winning ways, and they did just that against Holy Cross on December 4th. Opening baskets by Christian Ray, Sharif Kenny, and Josh Nickelberry saw the Explorers off to a 9-0 run early in the game. As the clock ticked on, the visitors managed to catch up, eventually tying things at 37 going into halftime. The Crusaders briefly went ahead 42-39, but LaSalle responded with a 14-2 run, with Nickelberry and Clifton Moore contributing 5 points each. Nickelberry was far from finished, though, as he would drop a further 11 points during an Explorers 15-4 run, extending the lead to 75-62. The run grew to 21-5, and the Blue and Gold would walk away with a comfortable 84-65 win. Nickelberry recorded a career-high 28 points, the most for an Explorer since Isaiah Deese scored 31 against Morgan State in 2019. The good fortune would continue against Fairleigh Dickinson on December 7th, with LaSalle kicking off the game by making their first 3 3-point shots. Jack Clark would then score 6 straight points, and in combination with Anwar Gill, would score 14 of LaSalle's 16 points in the middle of the first half. Gill hit his first triple of the season, and LaSalle would pull ahead 34-28. The lead would stretch to 11 points as Josh Nickelberry sank 2 free throws and Jameer Brickus shot a 3-pointer to put the Explorers ahead 44-33 at halftime. The second half was a highlight reel for the Blue and Gold, starting off with a Nickelberry 3-pointer and a link-up between Anwar Gill and Christian Ray that would end in Clifton Moore capitalizing on a fast break. Brickus would then have a jump shot bounce off the rim, only to be put away by Shepard to give LaSalle a 15-point lead. The Explorers then went on a 14-0 run in the span of 5 minutes, which would turn into an incredible 27-4 run in 12 minutes, expanding the lead to 30. Thanks to a triple from Matt McFarland for the cherry on top of the night, Charles Ireland's making his collegiate debut along with Kyle Thompson and Brandon Dwyer, nabbed a memorable first collegiate basket, putting the ball in the net with no time on the clock to secure the Explorers' win 81-55.
Women's basketball had another stellar week as well, first by taking care of business on the road against St. Francis. The Explorers were outscored in the first quarter 10-2 before Claire Jacobs scored 5 key points to make it a one-possession game heading into the second quarter. St. Francis continued to light it up in the second, taking a lead as big as 10 points in the second quarter, but the Explorers would respond with a 7-0 run started by Kayla Sproul's 3 that made it a 3-point game. Heading into break, it would be all blue and gold as they outscored St. Francis 42-34 in the final 20 minutes to win 64-59. 5 Explorers found success from beyond the 3-point range as the team shot 32% from outside. Sproul led in both scoring and rebounds with 18 as Claire Jacobs dropped 15 points and 5 rebounds in the win. Then, yesterday, UMass traveled to 20th and Albany to try and slow down the red-hot Explorers. Unfortunately for them, LaSalle jumped out of the gates, ending the first quarter up 23-11. It was capped off by a 14-0 run where the Explorers shot 4 for 6 from the outside in the first 5 minutes of the game. In the second, LaSalle took as big as a 19-point lead, but UMass had to lift to finish the frame, making it a 5-point game going into halftime. UMass would then make it a tie game at 40 apiece in the third, but LaSalle would never let it get that close again. The Blue and Gold shot 50% from the floor in the fourth quarter, which would prove to be big enough to give them the 77-70 victory. Sproul went off again, scoring a season-high 23 points on 70% shooting, 50% from downtown. Jacobs, Molly Massantonio, and Jordan Lewis all had double-digit scoring as well, as LaSalle extended their winning streak to 3 games and 5-1 over their last 6.
The men's swimming and diving team traveled to NJIT for their final meet until the new year. The Explorers had a few standout performers, which included sophomore Steven Stasola, who absolutely dominated both diving events. Stasola took first in the 3-meter dive with a score of 278.2, as well as the 1-meter, scoring 318.7. Senior Zach Wolbert picked up his 5th individual win of the season after a first-place finish in the 200-yard butterfly, clocking in at 1 minute and 51 seconds. Wolbert later on in the meet picked up yet another first-place finish in the individual medley, bringing his total up to 6 individual wins this season. And coming in with a time of 1 minute and 26 seconds, LaSalle's 200-yard freestyle relay team consisting of Wolbert, freshman Trenton Burr, Alex Correa, and sophomore Zach Miller added on another first-place finish for the blue and gold. Though the Explorers put up a great performance, they ultimately fell to NJIT in this meet with a finishing score of 179 to 115. The team will be back at it again in Kirkpool come late January.
So, what a week, obviously, both for both sides of basketball.
Absolutely.
We have to start off with women's basketball, though, because what they've been doing so far this year, I mean, we were just talking about Kayla Sproul and her electric start to the season. She does it in season-high fashion, almost a career high last night against UMass. But it's also been the revitalization of Claire Jacobs. She's averaging 9.8 per game now. She's 34% from deep. She has 16 points per game in her last two. She has been the key catalyst. I know they're in the middle of a 5-1 streak, but the fact that she's been able to turn it on, that is going to unlock a whole new level of this team.
Absolutely, and the fact that their record has been so good, not just at home, but they're getting these road wins too. They're proving that no matter who the opponent is, they can get these results and they can get these wins. Even, when they're tied at 40 points, they don't let it get close. They take the game, they run with it, and they make the scoreline secure again. So I think it's also great to see that even when they do kind of let a score get down to the wire, they can kind of collect themselves, take the game back, and get the win that they need to go on 5-1 in their last 6.
Yeah, I mean, in both games that we saw in this recap at least, they included a run of at least 7 or more points, where in UMass's game there was a 14-0 run. I mean, this is a team that kind of at any point can catch fire. They're a microwave sort of team, and the fact that it's kind of top to bottom, Hayes is averaging over 10.4 per game. That's not something that I think anyone could have expected, and she's been playing out of her mind.
Yeah.
Jordan Lewis is starting to put it a piece. 3 players are averaging 6 points per game. You're getting a lot of quality production and high-scoring affairs out of top to bottom on this lineup.
Exactly, and you want to talk about some crazy runs. That 27-4 run that men's basketball went on, Josh Nickelberry has already gotten 2 career-high nights in his LaSalle career. He dropped 22 in his first game, and now he dropped 28 in his last game. So he's finally finding his groove again, which is going to be really great for the team. We're seeing some guys who got their collegiate debuts, which is nice for the freshmen to come out. But, Clifton Moore's been getting in there. Shreve Kenny's been getting in there and making an impact. So it's great to see that after kind of a tough couple of games before against Nova and Temple that, they're really kind of getting back and finding their groove again and finding their footing and showing how dominant they can be with these, 80-point games.
And, I mean, in that same breath, if you look at Nickelberry, obviously just simple analytics, they go over 20 points per game with him. They're undefeated so far this year, but they haven't been able to rely on him so far this year, so we'll hope that they can get some more overall production out of him and the rest of the crew. But just to finish it off, obviously, swimming and diving, continuing to do it once again, continuing to do it in the 1 and 3 meter dives for that men's side. They just continue to be showing up on the leaderboard, even though the team aspect isn't kind of following through to there, but they've still made the most of this season that they weren't expecting.
Yeah, those individual wins from Steven Sosola and Zach Wolbert have been amazing. They've really been dominating all these events, and it is kind of disheartening to see that they haven't gotten that team result to kind of take those wins, but the individual performances are promising, so hopefully that can kind of gel together and make for more team wins come the new year.
Absolutely.
And we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Tyler gets Wally pipped a week early as Livy Gillian sat down with women's basketball star Kayla Sproul for our final On the Sidelines of the year.
I just missed the shuttle.
You never hit record!
I never hit record. I just got an F on my exam.
Is that you? Do you sit around bored all day? Do you want to watch television shows where you can look at the people and be like, I can be that. That's me. Well, you should check out LaSalle TV. That rhymes. We got entertainment news at Backstage Pass. We got regular news at LTV News. We got sports news at Sports Talk and SportsLine. And for those of you who really want some fun stuff, Q&A. Because down at LaSalle TV, we got a full buffet.
Thanks, LaSalle TV.
Thanks, LaSalle TV.
Thanks, LaSalle TV. I still miss my shuttle.
Welcome back. Kayla Sproul is not only averaging double-digit rebounds this year, but is also third in the A10 in points per game with 16.2. Future SportsLine host Libby Gillian got a chance to sit down with the offensive leader for the Explorers in this week's On the Sideline.
Kayla, thank you so much for talking with us today. The team has been playing really well this season, winning 5 out of your last 6 games. Overall, what has the team atmosphere been like this season, especially after the last few wins?
I think it's been really positive, and I think that was one of the goals for us this year is, I guess, keeping the positivity going at all times. So even if we were losing, we still have the same positive mindset as we do now as we're winning. And I think we've really done a good job of that. And you can see it, especially on the bench and on the court, we communicate a lot better. And it's just like, it's always positivity and it's always we instead of I. So it's been really good.
That's awesome. The first game of the season, you came out and scored 16 points with 17 rebounds. What did that great performance do for your confidence going into the rest of the season?
I think it really helped my confidence because I know over the last few years I've been like developing each year. So I guess coming into it, I was kind of nervous that I wasn't going to be able to live up to the expectations I had from last year. So like just coming out and being able to have a good first game, I think it's really carried over into the other games we've had.
And a big part of the team's success has been your ability to score and your great performances. You had a season high 23 points last night in the win against Maryland Eastern. What has your mindset been this season, and how are you able to keep producing big numbers for the team?
I think my mindset has just been like, I know what my responsibility is on the team, and just knowing that, my teammates are counting on me. So being able to deliver for them. And I think it also helps when they're able to deliver for the rest of the team, like everyone is doing their part. So it makes it pretty easy to keep doing it every game.
You were named Athlete of the Week this week. How does it feel to be recognized by the fans and the student body for all your great performances?
It feels pretty good. It was really exciting. I didn't even know that I was Athlete of the Week until my teammates told me. So I think just the constant support and just knowing that there are people out there that are rooting for my success is really good.
And this is a pretty upperclassman heavy team, but what has your role been as a senior this year in terms of leadership?
I think in terms of leadership, it would really just be making sure everyone is on the same page, just being able to communicate with everyone and being a spokesperson for the team, whether it's talking to coaches and being able to like deliver a message that the team wants, or I guess like just being on the court and being able to speak when other people aren't sure, don't know, just being able to be there too.
You've had a very successful season so far. Is there anything personally that you're still looking to improve on as the season continues?
I think probably just consistency, especially with like shooting the ball from the outside, is something that I still want to improve on. And just like even talking even more on and off the court is probably something that I want to improve on. But my team helps me with that every day, so probably see more improvement later in the season.
Perfect. Looking at the game last night, you all were up 23-11 after the first quarter, and then Maryland Eastern chipped away at the lead, and you were only up by 5 at the half. In games like that, what changes do you have to make at halftime or just in general to reset and get the win like you did last night?
I think what we have to do and what we did was just like remaining positive and understanding, and Coach Mountain emphasizes this, that there are going to be times when teams go on a run and we're not really able to deliver the way we're supposed to, but just being able to know our system and what we're supposed to do and come back and keeping that positive mindset that just because they go on a run doesn't mean that we have to now give up. I think that's really what drove us to the win. And I think having people, meaning like, Amy Jacobs, Molly, Mass, just being able to continuously talk throughout the entire time. Okay, I know we're down, but we got this, guys. Continuous encouragement. I think that's really what helped us win last night.
As you look at the next game versus St. John's on Saturday, what is the motivation for the team to keep up the win streak that you all have going right now?
I think our motivation is mainly just trying to be better than we were last year. So just continuing to, do our part and what we're supposed to do on a team. And, we want to keep this positive mindset, just wanting to win in general is probably what's making us want to win next game.
And overall, what are your expectations for the rest of the season based on the performance of the team so far?
My expectations to win the A10 and, just continuing our mindset that we have right now. I think right now I'm really happy and excited for where we are. And the fact that where we are is so great and we're not even at our best yet is really, I think, is what's most exciting.
Perfect. Well, that is all I have for you. Thank you again for talking with us today.
Thank you, Kayla and Libby. We're going to take one last break, but when we come back, I have a special message that you all won't want to miss.
Exposure to blue light can mess with your sleep and memory cycle, so make sure you limit your screen time at least 2 hours before you go to bed.
It's the small things that make a big difference.
So I know I've made a lot of jokes this episode about it being Tyler's last, but I did want to say something serious because Tyler has been a really big influence on me ever since I joined LaSalle TV. Besides Tanya, I really don't think I've learned as much from anyone here as I have from Tyler. He's guided me through being a co-host and being a producer, being a journalist for the Inquirer, how to do interviews. So I've learned so much from him, and I'm really lucky to call him not only my co-host, but my friend as well. And I feel like even though we haven't gotten a lot of time together, the time that we have had together is something that I'll really cherish and look back fondly on. And I can honestly say that I couldn't have asked for a better co-host in my first kind of year and a half of being on SportsLine. And so even though I'm very upset that Tyler's going to be leaving us here at LaSalle TV, I couldn't be happier or prouder that the rest of the world is now going to be able to experience the amazingness that is Tyler Small. So Tyler, I do love you and appreciate you, and I am going to miss you more than I think I could really put into words.
That means a lot. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Yeah. I guess that means it's my turn. No. Because if there's one thing LaSalle has taught me, It's that with all the misery that I have faced these 4 years, whether it's the sports programs or LaSalle, overall, you have to have a positive outlook. So instead of just being sad, and that was a beautiful speech, Siobhan, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. I
want to say thanks, and I want to show my appreciation to the very following list here that didn't have a good abbreviation for the names, but I consider it DITSIP. First, Dana and Tegan. Dana and Tegan sat on this desk when I was a mere freshman, and I watched upon them and thought I would never be able to do any of that. They talked about so much, they read so professionally, and they just knew the sports in and out. They were an influence for me, and it gave me a determination of somewhere where I wanted to go, and I appreciate them for that. To Helen, she was the first open arms that kind of accepted me into SportsLine, and I will appreciate her forever because nobody can be as sweet as Helen can, especially when she was saying for me to do Explorer reports and to be as sweet as she was. For Steve Silvestro, he was our fearless leader. He was running this like a tight ship, but we loved him for it, and this show would not be half of what it is right now if it wasn't for him. And definitely missed all of them before this year. And the same thing with my former partner, Gia Lancey. Gia gave me the confidence to do this myself. It was our first time doing it together. She jumped in with me, and although I was nervous and wouldn't be able to do half the things that Tegan and Dana were able to do, Gia gave me that confidence and saved my butt a million times when I messed up. And then let's look at this year's staff. Jamie Smith. I can't thank Jamie enough. She was the first person that really talked to me once I moved into LaSalle. And during Explore Orientation, we've been friends ever since. And I'm surprised she hasn't killed me because we've done pretty much everything in comm together. And I'm still lucky to call her my friend. Isaiah, he's the heartbeat of this show, obviously. I mean, he does everything that nobody else gets to see. And he puts together this show better than anyone else truly could. And we are so appreciative of him for everything that he does and all the dirty work. Tanya, behind this camera, Tanya is the heartbeat of this entire program, and she gives everyone with a passion the opportunity to do what they want to do. And it has just been incredible to be underneath her, and I could not be more thankful for her, and I know everyone can relate to that sentiment. And then, of course, Siobhan. Siobhan, my co-host, you have made this more fun than I can imagine. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. The future is so bright for this show, and everywhere with you because you are such a gifted talent, whether it comes to talking about it, writing about it, everything in between. And then, of course, Livy, once we get you on this stage, you two are going to rock it. I'm so excited to have a full female cast, and you guys are just going to do an amazing job with this show, and I'm so excited to watch from afar and support you because you two are amazing.
Oh, Tyler. Well, that just about wraps it up for us this week and the rest of 2021. And if you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com. You can also check out on the digital edition of The Collegian, which now features SportsLine content.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send your thoughts and suggestions there. This week's poll is, who should replace me as a SportsLine co-host? Stephen A. Smith or Alan Vin? I still can't pronounce his name. Forget it. Obviously, Stephen A.
Oh, absolutely. I love AV, but, you know, he's a terrible Flyers head coach, but whatever. But for our entire SportsLine team, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Tyler Small. Thank you all for these 4 years and giving me something so hard to say goodbye to. Thanks for tuning in, and for one last time, we'll see you at the game.